the cloud.
Okay.
Now, Maggie, will you make your recording announcement, please?
Yes. Yeah, Maggie Thompson, president of the Upper Midwest Bead Society. And our first announcement here, so that we are able to always get a recording when we have asked to do one, is if anybody, any of the participants get a message saying, do you want to record? If you answer no, you shut it off for everybody and we lose the recording. So please answer yes if you get that question. And we don't know how to turn that function off. We're still researching that, being artists and not techies. But I did find out that that's what happened last month with Diane, and we lost everything.
Right. So we are going to re-record Diane's meeting, and with just Diane, Meg, and I, and then we'll post that on Facebook so that the people who missed the meeting will be able to see it. So unfortunately, there'll be a couple month delay before the rest of the people can see Diane's meeting if you missed it.
Right. So we'll redo that whole thing and then upload that to the members only Facebook page. So
you can turn off your camera and then your face won't be anywhere on social media if you don't want your face to be.
Right. And please everybody mute too. I think everybody knows that. Okay, so Upper Midwest Bead Society, our monthly meeting for July. It's the 5th. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July holiday weekend. And I don't know what Portland was like. I hear it was pretty hot. It was pretty cooking here too. So we're all surviving in the AC. And tonight, our speaker and presenter is Shawn Tucker and Hannah Rosner, husband and wife team, and they're going to be doing lampworking. And we welcome them. We are so happy that we're able to see this. This is something we could never do in person at the Wilder Center because of the fire codes, you know, for inside. So I'm really excited to see this, and I know a lot of other people are too. So I am done with my little welcome spiel. Who would like to speak next, Rochelle or Shawn and Hannah?
Yeah, I think that it speaks for itself. We've made our announcements. We're really excited for Shawn and Hannah. Excuse me. We could hybrid your name really easily, though.
We've talked about that before.
So, and then, yeah, so we're going to change it to be the speaker view so that everybody can see it. So then, whoops, mute your camera and mute your video. And then all we'll see is our guests. It's all yours, Shawn.
Okay, why don't we see it? Oh, there it is. Okay, that's the one there, but we're no longer seeing that one. So it's all from there.
Right.
Okay, I'm just getting oriented. This is very
he's never really done this online Zoom class before. So
not at all.
So this is his first time ever doing an online Zoom class. And why don't you show him what you're gonna make?
We're gonna make some of these. They're little bellflower beads that can be strung together or independently, whatever you want to do with them. This particular set's green. It's a light green.
Shawn, can you hold that? Shawn, can you hold it up higher?
Oh,
hold
sure.
it up higher so we can see it. Up, no, higher.
Oh,
well, we can't see. Somebody has. There you go.
Yeah. First, if we can't hear him, then I can't hear that feedback either.
That works. Thanks.
Here, you go ahead and show them.
There we go.
There we go. So it starts life off for me as a piece of this 19 millimeter diameter, 2 millimeter wall thickness, green, translucent, transparent green tubing. And I'll cut that in half and weld it onto a little handle here. So then it's open on one end. And I'll then weld up that one end to another tube. like this here.
That becomes his blowpipe.
So then I'll start working that. This one, of course, isn't hot, so we'll grab one out of the kiln that's all prepared. And we'll get going for it. We'll make a couple of them real quick, and I'll show you the fuming process for putting that opalescent and polychromatic coating with the silver fume on the surface.
You see that blue? So that's the fuming, is the blue that, and this one.
And as a variation, you can use gold instead of silver. And this is over clear. So you wind up with just a really nice cranberry gold color. I'm not sure if that's in focus.
Is that in focus?
You're a little close. Back up just a tiny bit. There you go. That's better focus. So the glazing changes the color, or the fuming changes the color?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're actually taking the metal, the gold or the silver or an ore, and you're turning it from a metal into a liquid as you melt it. And then, of course, if you get it hot enough, it goes to that next stage of being a gas. It comes off as a vapor, and it will deposit onto the hot glass in a really even, smooth coating. So you can get some beautiful color effects just using a little bit of gold, a little bit of silver. And if you back it with something like cobalt glass, you get just a whole bunch of different beautiful emeralds, golds, greens, blues.
So let's get to it.
Okay, enough talking. Let's get to it.
No, I have one more question for you, Shawn.
Go ahead.
Are your glasses special for heat?
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay.
They have X-ray vision.
All righty. Enough said. Just
No, they're just didymiums. They're Lampwork glasses. They're not a very powerful set of glasses because I'm not working with a really big, intense flame most of the time. There's a torch out there like the Carlisle or the Bethlehem and a lot of the Lynx and these surface mix torches. They'll produce a much hotter flame. They'll produce much brighter sodium flare. And if you're fuming gold and silver, you're staring intensely into the hottest spot. And so maybe for that, you want to get some darker shades. But these are just didymiums, kind of mid-gray. All right, so light the torch up.
Shawn has an automatic lighter on his torch. Mine, you'll see me light it with a cigarette lighter.
Now, there's a couple of ways of applying that fume. On this one here, let's see if you can see it there. On the top of this clear, there's a little dot of pure silver that's melted in there that I picked up earlier. Now I can take that and put it in the flame and do this. Now, I would like to add that you want to have really good ventilation when you're fuming metals like that.
The difference.
So now you can see it's got a coating, kind of a not a haze, but like a silver finish over it. So then I'm going to remove just the tip there and clean that up. Then I'm going to condense it down into a rather large bubble. It'll be hollow in the center still, but using a blow hose, which I've got here, there's a swivel on the hose on this end that allows me to plug it in, and a little mouthpiece that I can blow into so that I can pressurize it while it's down near the flame.
I think you froze up again, Hannah. Your picture disappeared, Hannah. No, we lost Hannah again. Yeah, we lost you again, Hannah. There you go. No. Hannah.
Hannah, you're muted. Which means we can't hear Shawn. Okay, looks like they're working on it. Okay.
We admitted you back again, Hannah. Is that going to work?
No, I still have no sound. No, we can't hear you.
Mm-mm.
We can see you, but not hear you. Okay. 2, Hannah.
Okay, unmuted.
Okay.
All righty.
There you are.
Okay, can
We
you
have
see us?
contact.
See his hands?
I can see you. Your
Yeah.
hands are in the very bottom of the screen.
Say that again?
Your hands are at the very, very bottom of the screen. Like,
Okay, but you can see that.
no, I can't see them right now. No.
No. We need your camera to be pointed down just a little bit.
Because you're only on the face camera. You're not on, the other one went away.
It's not letting me turn on this camera again. Hold on.
Can you screen share it? instead of signing on, can you screen share your other camera? If you go to screen share and then go to advanced?
Yeah, but
Because you were logged in on it originally, but otherwise you could probably point the other one downward and we wouldn't see your face. We'd just see your work. Maybe. But you have to be connected them to each other if you want to screen share it. Oh, here we go. Admit. Gosh, how hot must it be in there? Because it's like, what, 100 degrees in Portland or your neck of the woods, and then you got the torches too?
I'm not sure what's going on here. Hold on. It's stopping the video.
Okay.
Unmute this one.
Mute that one.
Mute it. Stay muted.
There we go.
All right. Can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm going to just have to hold it, I think, guys. I think it's what I think it's probably. Turn it.
Should I mute this thing?
Yeah, mute that.
Yeah, have the iPhone power or volume on and the other thing muted.
I'm taking this one away.
Pull that off there. You inserting that one?
Yeah, let's try it.
Probably gonna have to aim this. You don't need that thing on.
Where it is.
So maybe the bottom taskbar.
All right, guys, let's try that again. Sorry.
It's all right.
How's that look, guys?
I see fire.
Okay. Now, before we lost contact, did we get through the pushing it in and turning it and blowing it?
Nope. We never got any of that part.
All right, we should start over. Do you have another tube?
Yes.
Okay, let's do another tube real quick.
Of course.
Yeah. Hopefully this new phone does not overheat. We'll find out. Oh.
Okay. So here we've got a little bit of clear rod with the silver, just a spot of it in there, just probably a couple of grams worth of silver. And we're going to put it over cobalt tube. So you see, we're going to go from, this is just really just blue, you know, it's a nice cobalt, and it's going to come out looking totally different after the fume. So in the flame with it, vaporize the metal, and as the fume comes off, it will adhere to the hot glass in the background.
Can you guys hear okay?
We certainly can.
Okay, good.
Okay, so here we've got the fumed tube now. There's no cobalt appearance to it. It's got a really shiny, like a silver surface, mirror look,
I think it's a little close.
but wrapped around the tube.
There you go.
So when we melt it in, it'll lose some of that into the depth of the glass, but it'll still retain some of the color changing qualities of the silver. So I'm going to get out my little blow hose. There's a mouthpiece on one end here, and I'll have that in my mouth. And on the other end, we've got a little swivel so that I can have it rotating easily and still apply pressure to the tube from inside. Take a little test spin, good to go. So I'm going to switch over to a bigger flame. And just kind of melt it in and get some thickness to the wall before I blow it out. I think if you held it over there, we could probably get there to hold it in place while I'm doing this part. Yeah.
I'm going to see whether or not I've got a filter that maybe will make this easier to see.
As soon as I turn this off, okay, I have no way of knowing what it's left in that.
Yep, I know.
It's just a real awkward. Okay, so we've gotten it blown out now. There we go. So we've got the little shape from the inside of the wire basket, and I'm going to blow a hole in the end and hook a temporary handle to it, and then we'll cut it off in the flame where the end of that design is, and then flare that out and finish shaping our flower.
Just gonna do he's getting it real hot, and then he's gonna do a little puff of air, and it's just gonna blow it right out. Did you hear that little puff? To show it to them.
So now it's got a little hole in the end. And we're going to put a little temporary handle on that. Now I don't want to weld it up very well. I want to make the perfect bad weld. And to make the perfect bad weld, I'm going to make a big disc out of the end of this smaller rod by just pushing it down right there. Now it's larger than the hole, which is what I want, because I'm going to set it up against it while it's just kind of tacky hot, and that's how that becomes the temporary handle. And it also closes that hole off so that I can now, again, pressurize the inside, which I'll need to do to cut it off in the flame.
I'm going to try to put this filter back on this. So hang on.
Go ahead.
Let's see if I can do that. There we go.
There we go. So while it was still hot, I wanted to clean up the tube that I'm making these out of, because it leaves a rather awkward hole at the end. So you want to clean it up as soon as possible, and you do it while it was hot. So now I'm going to take this side and open it up. Then I'll flare it out. Well, I've got a profile kind of like this. It's a little off-centered because it's an organic flower design, and it's got all the fluting on it now, but we're going to add 5 little indentions along the lip to really make it look like a flower. Now we've got our flower shape, and you can see it's all cobalt on the inside, and now it's got kind of a dark background to it. But from the back side, you're only going to see the reflected off the silver colors. So it's more of a purple now. So now it's time to tap off that temporary handle. Now I've tapped it off and it left a little bit of that little temporary thing on there. I'm just going to tap it off right there. Now it's got the little hole with the sharp edges, so we'll clean that up. And that's all it takes. That one there is done.
So then
we'll do one more.
A hole in the bottom there after you cleaned off the thing?
I didn't have to poke a hole, because when I put on that temporary handle, it was like a little disc that fit on the end of it. And when I tapped it off, it left the hole behind. So I just needed to clean the hole by putting a little brass tapered octagonal reamer in there and rotating it a little bit.
He's going to do another one and we'll talk you through it again.
Wow, that's so
and
cool.
Hopefully we won't overheat. I've got my new iPhone here, so hopefully my old one used to overheat all the time. So hopefully the new one is okay. So we'll find out.
Okay.
So Shawn is using borosilicate glass here, which is different than the glass that was used in Murano, and is different than what a lot of the beads are made out of that you see that are Lampwork glass beads. So his is a Pyrex, and that's the reason he can wave it around a lot in the air without going in and out of the kiln so much.
Yeah, it's much more forgiving. It's got about a third of the coefficient of expansion that most of your soft glass has. It's only, what, 30?
33 COE.
Right, 30. Yeah, 33.
And then 104 is what the Italian glass usually is. So if you put the two of them together, then they will crack right down the middle because when they cool different rates and they cool different amounts. So you can't put two different coefficients together. So he's already fumed this one. He's just going from the tube that he fumed last time. Let's see if I can put that filter on. That's not really working for me. That's not working for me. Sorry, guys.
It's not that overwhelming.
All of the chat comments are very positive, and everybody loves your artwork. There is a question: how do you maintain good ventilation?
Oh, we have, there's a number of different ways to do ventilation. In this case, as soon as Shawn is done, I'll show you. We have two fans in here, and also he is working out of a greenhouse that is raised off the floor. So he has ventilation on the floor, and he also has ventilation coming from underneath. So can you see that he blew a little hole there, Rochelle?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's the hole that he's going to end up going ahead and covering up with his little flat temporary handle. There it is. And then when he breaks it off, the hole will be back for us to string some beads on.
Another one of our members says we have a whole new appreciation for the work that goes into one bellflower. Very beautifully realistic flower. That is amazing, isn't it? Okay, here's another question. Does the glass come wide shaped like a cattail?
As soon as Shawn is done with this, I'm going to ask you to repeat that because it's got a lot of hits and I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Does the glass that you're using come in a wide?
Say that again. Does the glass come? Does it come in a what?
No. Wide shape.
Oh, does it come in a wide shape?
Yeah, like a cattail.
Yes, you can get different thicknesses of glass.
Okay.
So we've just spun it out there and we've got a little flower profile.
So now he's going to ruffle it.
And it's got the little bits of fluting on the edges. And you can see from the inside there, it's just a beautiful cobalt color with that backing, and then a nice contrast with the outside. There's our last little flute around the edge. And you can see both sides now. So we'll go ahead and tap that off. I'll grab it with some tweezers. I'm going to preheat them so as not to shock it from a cold tool. And then just tap it. It should leave me a nice little hole there. But I'm going to take this tool and clean it up with the flame on it so that there's no sharp edges and that it's perfectly round. And there we go. There's one more little bellflower brought into the world.
Wow. Now, do you have to temper it or anything in the kiln, or it's just ready to go?
Realistically, this is such thin glass and it's blown and shaped so smoothly that I would not expect one of these to crack from any kind of a cooling issue, but it still doesn't hurt to put them through the kiln's annealing cycle. You just don't want to over anneal them, because being fairly thin and lightweight, you know, if you've got too many stacked on each other or they're touching, they could kind of fuse together and create sharp parts when they come off. And even if they're left alone, sometimes a real high heat has more of a tendency to add stress than to alleviate the stress.
Oh.
So you just want to make sure you come up with something stress-free. If it was a really thick item, then, you know, that's very much, it's got to go in the kiln. It's got to follow the formula for the cooling and contraction of the different materials. It's like cobalt is a slightly different COE than, say, clear or yellow. They get it real close as they can. But there will always be some issues between colors on the fine scale.
What's your favorite color to work with?
Probably cobalt, just because I use it so much. Like my favorite color that I use here is this, and this is cobalt tubing.
That's thinner diameter.
Of this diameter.
Oh.
And it's encased over a solid rod of this. So you can see what that looks like and how that makes that color.
Oh, wow.
And you can see how it's like, it's all white on the inside, really. But then on the outside, it's cobalt. So when you see the color in the stringer, you'll see that on the outside, the cobalt is darker and it looks white towards the center, no matter how you rotate it. Right.
So then when you melt it, that's how it comes out too in your beadwork? It's a combination of blue and white?
Yes, I'll heat these up and I'll melt them all together in the flame and pull it down to something about this size. And you can see how, again, that turns kind of white at the tip. And here we go. Here's I'll let you show it.
Ooh, pretty.
There's a cobalt over white octopus using these colors.
And both sizes of stringer. So it uses.
Right, the small stringer for the legs. And then this size here would make the head.
And you can see the eye marini.
Oh, yeah, the eyes. That's just so darn cool.
That would be like one of those right there.
Yep. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, you can't really see it.
Yeah, it's not really, not getting good focus on it.
That's super darn cool. How long you been doing this, Shawn?
Oh, 20 some years. And I still enjoy it. There's always still new stuff to come up with and things to do that have maybe never even been done before.
Well, I tell you, my guess is it's just like any other art form. There's a billion different things to make.
Yeah, and you know, you can always get into doing some cold work too. You know, if you make say a mushroom inside of a marble and then you coat it in frit, if you've got any kind of cold working stuff, lapidary, you know, cut off the front and polish it. It just adds a whole other dimension to it.
Shawn used a term called frit, which is just a fancy term for little chunks of glass.
Okay.
Like sand.
That was going to be my question.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, if you have a hot piece of glass and you roll it in a tray of crushed glass, it'll pick it up on the surface. And you can do it with powdered glass and crushed glass and different coarsenesses. And so you can get quite a few different effects. And it can be geode-like, where if you slice it in half, you can see all the applied concentric rings, and the very center can be something really cool.
What if you rolled it in a whole bunch of seed beads? Would that do the same thing?
If they were the proper COE, the coefficient of expansion, yeah, they would.
Wow, that'd be cool.
there's even a method of laying down. We talked about the millifioris, the designs like these. So if you took a more complicated design and took a whole bunch of them and nipped them down thin and then stuck them all on like a wooden or a graphite tray, and then heat up a large piece of glass and roll it over the top of them, it'll pick up all those millis on the surface. And that's an old Venetian technique that they did when they were blowing, because they would take that big gather, the hollow one that they were going to blow out, and they would roll it over a table full of the millis laid out. And so that's how they got those beautiful, intricate, repetitive designs into the glass in uniform application.
Wow.
For those of you who have done female canes before, it's a lot like that, only at 2,000 degrees.
Okay. Gotcha. But then if you were cutting and polishing them like any other sea glass, you would use the same things, just use more water on your lap, or what?
Well, if you have a lapidary machine with the different coarsenesses to go from either gross removal of material, or if you have a bandsaw or a ring saw to make the initial cut, because you're going to lose a lot of material getting through the depth.
Well, usually the saws are pretty fine, you know, because it's just like from the fine stones. I mean, they're pretty darn thin, and so all the stuff I have. So I was just wondering.
It's the same idea, but the problem is that with the glass, you actually have to go through and then you have to polish it down. So you end up removing a little bit. Otherwise, you end up with bubbles.
Gotcha.
When you try to use them. You'll end up with bubbles on the surface from just the extra pieces of glass that are sort of loose.
Yeah. And as a small side note there, if you're working with stones and you want to use your glass in there, they don't mix well. The diamond stones and stuff like that do the cutting into the glass, if you've used it previously on rocks and stones, will have all those impurities embedded in it, like little impurities in a file after you've filed something down. You've got to clean it out. But you can't really clean the diamond abrasive plate, so it will put those impurities into the glass that you're working. Gotcha. And if you heat it up again, it will bubble and fume and just not work.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So you kind of have to have one for one and one for the other.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah, we have different blades for different high quality versus low quality versus, yeah, that makes sense. So that makes sense. Well, super. I'm just so darn excited. I mean, they worked up really fast, but yet there's a lot of work that goes in each one of those little guys.
Well, when I sit down and start making them, that's, I've just got much larger tubes, and they just sit here and knock out one after the other for a while. And it helps having Netflix.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we did both do a lot of. So I'm going to switch over to my torch.
Okay.
And
so we'll screen share for then while you're doing that a fun little video of some of the work that Shawn and Hannah do. And so I believe the screen share is coming through. Let me know if it's not.
Yeah, it's only like 2 minutes. Can you unplug this thing?
Do you need my help in that?
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll probably have questions.
And so, yeah, so
I do have a question. How did you get started, Shawn?
Well, Shawn, I'm moving this right now, so I will, as soon as Shawn comes in, I'll have him answer you.
All right. Okay.
Let's see.
Ooh, that's a pretty blue piece.
That's gorgeous.
Oh. Oh, little paw prints. Are those bears or dogs?
I think Shawn meant them to be dogs.
Okay. I mean, I know you've got your German Shepherds, so.
Well, he was barking pretty hard there for a few minutes. I don't know if you guys heard him, but his best friend was hanging out outside and he was trying. Now, can I see, I don't know whether or not I'm,
Do you want this one? Or?
I can
No.
stop screen sharing if you want to check something out, Hannah.
yeah, let's stop for just a second and see what shows up here.
Okay, so we've got.
Okay, I can't see when you're talking. Hang on. Let me just, I think that'll work pretty well. Yep, I think that'll work. Maybe we can get in a little bit closer. There we go. All right, so why don't you go back to the screen sharing while I try to figure out the rest of this.
All right. So yeah, these are some of Hannah's beads.
Mm-hmm.
I'll back up because we missed a couple of hers while we were talking. There we go. So this is the orchid she's gonna do tonight.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and that was the same one that you did for Marsha's hat, right?
Pretty similar. Yeah, hers was made out of yellow and some yellows and some, because she wanted a rotten kind of look to it. Shawn, can you get the extension cord, please?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Well, she's always, you know, inspired by dead leaves and things.
Well, what she was doing is she was going ahead. She's not here tonight, is she?
I don't know.
No.
I talked to her earlier,
No.
but I don't think so.
Okay. She was doing something inspired by Daisy Buchanan from I've forgotten the name of the movie now, and the whoops, that was
Great Gatsby.
yes, from
Yeah,
Great
that's
Gatsby.
the Scott Fitzgerald book.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So she was thinking about how the character in Great Gatsby is Daisy Buchanan is kind of a rotten, and she's kind of a hothouse, but she's living in this kind of rotten society. So she wanted something that looked kind of a little on the rotten side. And so instead of doing these bright colors, which is the kind of thing I enjoy doing, she wanted something that was sort of yellow and a little bit white and sort of a little browns. So, which are the colors, if you know anything about orchids of oncidiums, they look kind of like bugs. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do, first, I'm going to show you what you guys probably know pretty commonly as lampworking, which is the round bead with the dots on it. And I'm going to use what's called soft glass for that, which is the Italian glass. And what that'll do is that'll go ahead and just show you how I let the glass kind of work with a little bit of gravity, and also it also likes to sort of glob up together. So, and then from there you'll be able to see me go ahead and do an orchid real quickly. So I've got some white glass here, and I just heat it up. So I'm working with rods of glass, whereas what Shawn did was he worked with tubes of glass. So really what he was doing is more glass blowing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to wrap it around my mandrel. A mandrel is a fancy word for a steel piece of glass. Can you see that there? Do I need to get closer in, do you think, or is it okay?
It's okay because the mandrel's in your left hand and the rod's in your right hand, right?
Exactly. So I'm getting the rod of glass, I'm getting it all hot, and then I'm just wrapping it around the mandrel. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat it and just let it round out.
Does that help?
Does that help? Shawn just turned on the ring light. Does that help or hinder?
No.
It's just a little
Yeah,
different color, but yeah, it's about the same.
Do we like it better or worse?
It's just pretty warm light, so it's very nice.
Okay, let's put it on then. Okay. All right, so I've got a whole bunch of white glass on this, and I'm just rounding it out. And I just do that by rotating. There we go. And the nice thing about this white glass is that as it cools, it's going to go back to opaque. You see how it looks transparent right now? Watch this.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, it sure is. Now it's still 1300 degrees, but. And now I'm going to take a thinner rod. And I'm just going to apply dots. This is a dark purple that I've got. And I can either leave those raised or I could melt them in. Let's see if I can. You see that?
Oh yeah. Wow. And so those are about what, 2 millimeters large dots?
I'd say the dots are, yeah, they're 2 to 3 millimeter. So. So once again, this is soft glass, which is Italian soda lime glass, which is generally used for beads. But when you see me get to doing the orchid, there we go. When you see me get to doing the orchid, you'll see that what I'm doing is a more sculptural thing. So what I use with the orchids is I use the borosilicate the same way that Shawn does. So anyway, that one's done. I'm going to just go ahead, and I am not making those, so I'm putting it in water. I'm not going to keep that guy. I just wanted you to see the basic idea of lamp working. So I've got another mandrel here. Here it is. I'm going to turn my torch way up. And I'm going to be using clear glass as my base. This is borosilicate. But what I have to do first is I have to do all the pieces that I'm going to add to them, because each one of those pieces is going to be a petal that I'm going to apply, and they have to already be done. So can you see this? What I've done here is, that's a little bit, what I've done here is I've just taken some white and some purple and sort of smeared it together. Can you see that at the top?
Mm-hmm.
I just went ahead and melted the two of them together and smeared it around. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to heat it up really hot. Oops. I actually heated it too fast and it exploded on me. So I'm just going to go pick that up.
Oh.
There we go. There. I'm just going to make a big old blob out of this. Had a piece on the table there that I decided I'd use. So right now I'm just heating it up. Most of the work that I'm going to do is going to be outside of the flame. So can you see that big old blob? Mm-hmm. That's the clear or the transparent purple and the white. I'm going to take some texture mashers here. I'm just going to mash them. There we go. Now Shawn makes tools for glass blowers. Not that I'm going to like brag about him, but I'm going to brag about him. He makes tools for glass blowers too. And so what this is this is a tool that has little mashers on a, can you see the leaf pattern?
Yeah.
That he's made for me. So
Wow.
I'm gonna take this little paddle. See, I smashed it flat. Now I'm gonna turn it into a little leaf or petal. You see it there? It's got little ruffles on it. And now I'm gonna put it onto a punty. And a punty is a fancy word for a piece of glass that I'm gonna take off later. I don't know where Shawn went to.
He's hanging out in his area.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, but he still has his camera on.
Does he? I wonder
Yeah.
if he knows.
He does now.
So, can you guys see that, or is that too close?
Oh, there you go.
So there's one little petal. So when I make flowers, I generally make flowers that have 6 or more petals. But I'm going to pretend like this is one of those cooking shows. I've already got them in the kiln for you. So you don't have to watch me make all of them.
I love it, but it takes that long to make each petal.
Yes. Sometimes a little longer. I have specialty ones that I do, like the one for the center. This big one in the center here with the the orange. That one takes a little longer. But I am ready now to go ahead and start my bead. So I'm going to go ahead, and the same way I did with the white glass, I'm taking this piece of clear borosilicate. Ooh, that's hot. It was in the kiln. The mandrel was in the kiln. I'm going to take this piece of borosilicate and I'm going to start wrapping it around.
Wow.
So one of the differences between borosilicate and soft glass, for those of you who have tried doing soft glass beads, the Italian glass, is the borosilicate almost immediately stiffens up when you get it out of the flame. So you have to do a lot more work in the flame, but it's still really important to never, ever put your tools in the flame. I think we had a question for you earlier, honey, when I was moving the camera. Maggie, do you remember what that question for Shawn was?
Yes. How did you get started, Shawn?
Shawn, that one's for you. How'd you get started?
Well, my nephew was blowing glass here in Grants Pass back in the 90s. And I saw what was going on. I thought, you know, that looks like a really fun medium. And I still think that today.
Well, you obviously moved in the right direction then.
Yeah, I
love doing it.
Did just a few months working for a local shop here in Grants Pass back in the late 90s. And then I was really quickly I wanted to go my own way. So I bought the equipment that I needed to do it at home in a very minimalist fashion. And it's kind of stayed with me. My shop is still fairly small. It's only about 6 foot by 8 foot, or 8 foot by 10 foot, something like that, but not very big.
All right, so I've got this glowing blob of glass here, and I'm actually going to go ahead and I've got a press mold here, and I'm just going to press it into this mold so that I can go ahead and start putting my petals down on a thing that I can hang on to. So I'm going to get it really hot. And then once again, borosilicate pretty much stiffens up the minute you take it out. So you have to take it and you have to put it in here real quick and smash it. I'm gonna add a little more glass to that, but I've got a base that I can now work on. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that alone. We'll just let that be. I'm gonna smash it one more time. It's enough of a base. I don't want you guys to have to wait for me.
So do you go by color? Is that how you can tell if it's hot enough, or how do you know?
That's exactly, yeah. After I've worked, I know that I really wish that this, can you see that? Oh, it's not coming across as that orange. This orange that it comes across when it's really hot, I just really wish that color was available, but it's not. So I'm gonna put a couple of little dots down where I want my petals to be. I'm gonna put one at the top here. So I'm gonna put a dot there. These are just little landing pads, so I know what I'm doing. So I've got two on the bottom here and one on the top, just like that. There we go. So can you see what I've done there? Nah, probably not. But I've got made like a little triangle with one dot here, and one dot here. And that's just so I can see where I'm putting my petals. And I've got petals already in the kiln, so I'm gonna go select one. And I'll go ahead. So I'm gonna put this petal right here. I have to get it really hot because I don't know if you heard Shawn say something about a bad weld. A bad weld is one that has undercuts in it, and it just can knock right off. So if I let this have undercuts instead of melting it on completely, these petals will just come right off. And I'm going ahead and smoothing them on with a little knife. This is very fancy. See this knife? Got it at Goodwill for 50 cents. Oh, there's the first petal. Can you see it there?
Good.
Just gonna, there we go. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, these look good. I like these petals. So you can see why I have these all on punties like that. Otherwise, I would have to put my whole hand there in the kiln. Hey, sweetheart.
Oh, we lost your video phone, Hannah.
Did we?
Okay, now it's back.
Yeah, that was Shawn. He was Shawn was trying to give me the filter.
Oh, because the camera's way up top. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, that doesn't really work.
No, it's not really helping. So he was just trying to put the filter on for me.
Though.
There we go.
Everybody notices you're barefoot, Hannah.
Yeah, I'm barefoot. Don't do this at home.
Drop glass on yourself and burn your feet, or
I did that earlier today, as a matter of fact. Yeah, you should really do. I love being barefoot. I really do.
I'll try going in closer. Just hold it manually and watch it.
Oh, there you go. That's a good picture.
There we go. Okay. Let me get another one out of the kiln here.
Barefoot.
Barefoot. I know.
I think we just need to set the monitor to where it doesn't leave this window.
Really?
Well, yeah, because if you're trying to use it as a viewfinder,
yeah,
and get in as close as you can and know what you're looking at, it needs to stay on.
Mm-hmm. So you can see I'm just adding these petals one at a time and smoothing them down with. There we go. Thank you for holding that, honey.
There's a question about YouTube Oregon made functional glass.
That is Shawn's channel, or at least it should be.
Okay. All right. So that's what they're trying to make sure if that's your YouTube. Okay.
It should be.
All right.
All right. So I have 3 more petals to go. And once again, I'm going to put little landing dots on them. I'm going to put one right here and one right here and one right here. But before I do that, what I want to do is this. I like my like it if you can use your flower as both a bead and a pendant. So I'm going to put a little loop. Can you see that little loop on the top right there?
Okay.
I'm just going to put a little loop on this flower here. Just behind the top petal. There we go.
So you really have to be ambidextrous to do this task.
You do have to do these guys. You really don't have to. I've never had someone that I haven't been able to teach how to do just a basic bead and to do a bead on a mandrel. But as soon as you're getting into these floral shapes and the more 3D stuff, there we go. So I've got a little loop now that we can go ahead and use that. And I'm going to go ahead and put the last little, whoo, it's hot, little petals on. So I'm going to put one right here. These 3 petals that are behind don't have the shape of the leaf on them. I didn't use the leaf masher on them. All I did with them was I did I flattened them because I like to have a little bit of variation. Taking a little bit of the punty off here. There we go.
There's a question about what temperature is your kiln to keep your petals warm while you're working?
My kiln is actually in bad shape right now. So it should be at 1200, but I'm sort of playing it by ear because my kiln is, the knob is busted. So hopefully it's about 1250.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
You know, after about 20 years of working with this stuff every day, I don't even have a pyrometer on my kiln anymore. I haven't for years. If you can't just look in there and see how much it's glowing and tell the difference between 1,000 and 1,100 and 1,150, they all look different. And a thermometer just becomes really not required. You just look at it and go, oh boy, that's too hot or too cold. It's kind of like cooking, where you got that person that follows the recipe no matter what it says, even if they misinterpret it, or an intuitive cook that knows what she's doing.
Shawn is saying that because he does not cook here.
Oh, I'm terrible. I do the dishes. I'm good at that.
I love it that he does the dishes.
Can't cook.
So, can you see what's going on there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Last one, just heat this up a little bit, and I want to put this loop on the back a little bit better. It's not quite there yet. So I'm going to grab this.
So if you don't like something, you can just take it off and move it?
Well, I could, yes, if it's not really well melted on. But I want to melt it on really well. But yeah, absolutely. The nice thing also about borosilicate is that sometimes if they break, I can replace them or repair them. It's easier to do with borosilicate because it's a lot more lenient. It's a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for?
Forgiving.
There we go, forgiving.
Yeah, with only 33 being a COE. And what that means is that for every degree Celsius that the temperature changes, that material will contract or expand by that many millionths of an inch. So if you had a 1 inch long piece of borosilicate and you change the temperature 1 degree, it's going to be, and then that temperature's up, then it's going to expand, and it would be 1 inch and 33 millionths for that 1 degree temperature change. So it doesn't seem like much, and it's not, but multiplied over 1,000 degree temperature change as the glass goes from being very hot to room temperature, that adds up into significant amounts of pressure within the glass.
Now, I don't know if you saw what I did there, but I had the punty on the wrong side, so I had to turn the punty around while Shawn was telling you about that. So.
We're just watching your fingers madly working. But there's a question, if somebody wanted to get started making glass beads, what's the best source to get a starter kit as well as the glass rods to practice?
Oh, that's a great question. So before we do you carry glass making supplies at the store there?
No, we don't.
Okay. Because I always like to plug the local bead store before I tell you where to get things online.
Do you know anywhere in town that does, or any of you local, Gail, anybody that does this stuff locally?
So when I started by going to Arrow Springs online. You just look up I think it's arrowsprings.com, but if not, you can do a Google search. And I got Moretti glass, which is the Italian glass. And I got something called a hot head torch. Oh, there it is. Can you see it?
Oh, wow, pretty.
Oh my Lord, that's gorgeous.
So that, I'm just gonna heat it a little bit in the flame, just because it's been waving around a little bit, and then I'm gonna pop it in the kiln, and that's it. So anyway, Arrow Springs has something called a hot head torch, which is perfect for soft glass, which is the Moretti, the Italian soda lime glass, but it doesn't work on borosilicate.
Is that the thing that hooks up to the bottle?
It does.
So it's like a little propane hand torch.
Right.
That, yeah.
It's like a little propane hand torch. I think they cost about $45, and then you go ahead and you attach it to something called MAP gas, which comes in a little canister, about that big.
Yeah, it's like a little propane cylinder.
Yeah, and you get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't know how much they cost now, but they were only about $7 or $8 when I first got them, and those are great for making small round beads like the one that I originally made. I think I have dirt all over my face, but so anyway, that's what I recommend. The first time, my first setup cost me about $150, and I actually didn't get a kiln. I don't recommend that. I was using a crock pot full of vermiculite, and it works great for small beads, but then you want to do something called batch anneal later. So you want to get a kiln and anneal all your beads before you go ahead and sell them, because they can crack if they're not annealed.
The question is, how long do you anneal your stuff for, like the bellflowers and your orchid? Was another question.
The general rule for boro anyway is 3 minutes per millimeter of thickness at its thickest point, at its holding point, which is going to be about 1058 to 1100 degrees. And then it's going to have to come down over a period of hours so that the outside doesn't shed heat faster than the inside can compensate for it and cause it to crack.
So what that means, though, is that when Shawn and I are done working, we generally turn our kiln up a little bit and let it sit. Usually let it sit about 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So we
usually.
turn it up a little bit, let it sit, and then we turn them off and go away.
Okay.
Then open them up in the morning and see what you did.
Right. And that's what I'm gonna do with if you would show them my kiln real quick.
Mhm.
So you can see that my kiln has things sticking out of it. Can you see these?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the petals that I didn't use. I made extra in case I messed up. So I'm gonna pull those, I'm gonna open it up and push those in so that I don't have an open kiln basically while I'm trying to cool it. And then I'm just gonna turn it off. And tomorrow we'll see.
There's a question. How do you remove the flour from the mandrel when it's done?
Oh, that's a great question. And so let me go ahead and do this. And I think, oh, look, see, there's this guy. You see him?
Yeah.
He's the one I made earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He may crack because I stuck him in water instead of annealing him, but I'll show you as soon as I'm done with this, I'll show you how I take him off. Okay.
Sounds
So
super.
There's a couple of comments too. Malcolm Potak in Minneapolis has try it, quote unquote, classes to try before you set up your own studio. So that's a resource in Minneapolis.
That's a great idea.
And J Ring Glass Studio sells glass supplies.
Perfect.
Although I've got to say, in defense of the people that want to educate themselves and build their own shop first, if you take classes and you emulate what you see, quite often, you wind up with a whole group that kind of gets in a rut over time. It's nice to like go, okay, let's see, I want a lamp work. What does it take? Okay, it takes a hot flame and it takes some glass. Well, what kinds? What can you work with? And I found projects over the years that were just really fun. Like the old security lamps that go outside and they had the tungsten light in them. You could separate those by heating them up and the glue would pop off and the faceplate would come off and you could make a goblet out of that. And it was a really beautiful goblet just out of a light bulb.
See, I like to learn first before I try stuff, and Shawn just likes to try stuff. So there are two different sort of, I tried it. I tried lamp working first before I went and bought all the stuff and realized that I was really addicted. But Shawn just, once he decides he wants to do something, he just jumps in with
and if I could make something myself from the ground up, like my torch or any of my equipment, I will opt to do so.
Yeah. So what I've got here is I've got this little bead on a stick, and I don't know if you can see this white stuff that's flaking off. Can you see that?
Yep.
That's called bead separator. It's basically a carbon sludge that
it's a high temperature pancake batter that crusts off when you apply pressure to it.
Yeah, what he said. So basically I dipped you're right. I dipped my mandrel in it and let it dry. And then I put it in water and it starts to separate. And then I can just do this.
Oh.
And that's how I get it off. And it has a little bit of what I refer to as bead poop on the inside. So I just take a Dremel and just Dremel out those holes so they're nice and sparkly. See, that's the nice thing about what Shawn does is he doesn't have to Dremel all those.
No, there's no bead release involved. It's just glass.
Right. And that's it.
Someone else has a question here. She says, I see kilns that can be used for glass and metal clay. Are those okay to use?
Yeah, a kiln is a kiln.
Okay.
So if it covers the temperature range that you want it to use, it doesn't matter whether you're doing ceramics or glass or whatever. But some designs are more functional. Like the one behind Hannah here has a garage door, which means that she can open it partially, or she can open the parallel counterweighted doors and get into the whole thing.
So I can either open this one or I can open that one.
Now this is more suited for a glass worker who's lamp working. It wouldn't be of a lot of use in probably an offhand soft glass shop, but here it's excellent for what we're doing.
Right, and it probably wouldn't be as useful. Having that garage door wouldn't really help with metal clay. However, the thing about metal clay that you want to be careful of is I hear that if you are using the copper metal clay, you have to do something with carbon, with what am I thinking of? With charcoal, and that can get all over the inside of your kiln. So you have to, apparently between using copper metal clay and going to glass, you have to give it a really deep cleanse. You have to really clean the inside.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow, that is just so amazing. And so then Shawn, we have his YouTube page and site and Etsy shop. And so then on your Etsy shop or Good River Gallery is where to find all your glass beadwork, or?
Mine is hannarosnerdesigns.etsy.com, and Shawn is ShawnTuckerGlass.etsy.com.
Because yeah, we want to find more of all your, you know, beautiful beads and pretty flowers and everything.
And I think I put those links on the website, or said click on the orchid flower and you'll go here, and if you click on the couple's picture you'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, so I think that one goes over to Shawn's. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Meg.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, cool. I mean, and so they want to know if you sell your tools, Shawn, on Etsy too.
It's in his same glass shop, ShawnTuckerGlass.etsy.com. So they're really pretty. Let me show you a couple of them.
Well, tools are essential when you're doing beadwork. So I would think in your type of work, I mean, you can't do it without the right thing.
Yeah, and once you find a tool that really saves the time and makes the job get done quickly and elegantly, you just don't want to give it up.
So mine are obviously pretty well used, but this was what Shawn was using to open up the holes on his bellflowers. It's an octagonal reamer, and that is one of his most popular tools. You can see I've used it quite a bit and done some burning on the bottom here. They've got hardwood handles, and here's another one that's got a beautiful hardwood handle that I use to make depressions in the glass.
Now this one's a graphite tool, which in this shape, it's really strong. If you drop it, you're probably not going to break it. But if you made that little sharp, small brass octagonal reamer out of graphite, which is available in many retail and online places, the first time you drop it, it's like a really sharp pencil. It's going to break that end off, and you're going to cry and be like, wow, that didn't last very long. Right,
and you definitely don't want to put this one into the flame. But this is what I was actually looking for when I was trying to put my loop on, and I wanted to round it out. I told you I wanted to put it on a little bit better. I wanted to use this, but I had this still put away. I hadn't brought it out. So, and then my favorite tool of Shawn's is this guy. This is what's called a triangular marver. And this one's great. It takes place of any, for those of you who do any lamp working, this takes place of any of the graphite marvers that you've got. You can do little cuts here. You can flare things open there. You can put Marini here and let it preheat. There's all kinds of things, but I use this almost exclusively instead of my flat marver that I've also got.
Yeah, and in my shop, working mostly with tubing, it is my #1 go-to all day long tool. It does most of the shaping jobs that I need done quickly.
I can't even find my other one. Well, here's a metal version of the marver that you probably recognize, but I tend to use this instead. So. And once again, it's got a hardwood handle.
Right, and it fits into a base so that your hand's free, and it pivots and rotates and changes its angle just by placing the glass on it and pushing it around. Because sometimes you need to point the glass up, sometimes you need to point the glass down, and it just being free floating like that makes it infinitely usable.
So yep, those are his handmade tools.
That's so super cool. I mean, it takes the the artist process to a whole new level. If you've got, it's so easy. You can do it faster, quicker, better, right?
Well, that's what he tends to do. Is when he's got something he wants to make, he'll go ahead and think about the best tool for the job, and instead of going online to look for the best tool for the job, he tends to make it for me. So
I tell ya, you sound like a great couple. How long have you all been together?
I think it's 10 years now.
I thought we were going on 2.
We're going on 2?
Close to 2.
Yeah, something like that.
10, yeah, somewhere in there.
Hey, you want to come over to my house tonight?
No, it's too hot at your house. I want to go to the river.
Oh my
Yeah, we got 2 new kids, baby goats, and they're still bottle feeding, and they get 2 walks a day down to the river and up and down the beach.
Mm-hmm. They're really cute.
Oh,
And tell them what your goats' names are again.
Oh,
Obi and Willie. That's it's for Oberon and Wildebeest.
they came with their names.
Yeah, and they were good names, so we're not changing them.
Right.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it. Everybody is thanking you for a fabulous demo.
Well, thank you, guys.
Enjoying it. I mean, this is just so super inspiring, and
it's really fun. I started collecting beads with a bead by an artist named Sage Holland, and I just had no idea before I ever got a hold of her bead that I could make my own. And after a couple of years of collecting beads at Bead and Button and at shows, I thought to myself, wow, I should make my own. I would save so much money. Yeah, no. No.
it never.
Yeah.
You know how it is with a new craft and a new hobby.
I was going to say, everybody says
back
that. Everybody says that, and then they start buying equipment and supplies, and it's like, yeah, I probably would have been better off.
Right?
That's not why you do it.
No, that's not. Absolutely. Yeah. All
Okay.
right. Say goodbye, Shawn.
Beautiful
Great.
work.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Shawn and Hannah.
I'm over here.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Go ahead.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions for them? You can unmute and ask.
It's been fantastic. I love all your work. So I definitely will check out your Etsy shop and your site. So, and I've seen Hannah's work and her beadwork. So this was so much fun.
Oh, speaking of beadwork, we should probably show off that piece of beadwork that you guys can make again. Do you have that handy, Rochelle?
Oh, yeah, let me totally grab it. Hannah's class is coming up on the 18th. Is that right?
Yeah, of August, right? Is it July or August? Boy, I sure hope it's in August. So, I can't remember.
Sorry. So yeah, it's a really cute, it's this really fun braid that's mixing with pearl cotton and seed beads. And then if you want to make a case for your scissors, or you can make a case this way for your cell phone. And so it's suede, ultra suede, and seed beads. And it's all like embroidered and has a little flap here. So yeah,
I do a different edging than a lot of other people do that involves peyote stitch. So I'm going to show you a peyote stitch edging instead of doing the picot, and then it has some raised embroidery on the top.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's super adorable. And Bob actually just got like 35 different colors of ultra suede. So
Wow.
she's using the Toho Challenge colors here. And then
you.
Pardon?
So we'll go.
I was
We'll
gonna
go
ask
into
it
either
was-
how to
was
do
the
the
Yeah.
We'll go into either how to make a cell phone case for yourself or the scissor case.
Right. So, because if you've already got your favorite, if you don't, some people are like, oh, my fingers can't fit in these cute little stork scissors. I mean, we've been having these for generations because every mom's, scissor case had one. And they're just so cute.
It is going to be in Zoom. It is going to be in Zoom, Paulette.
Yeah, it'll be a total Zoom class, normal Zoom. It's not a live Facebooker. It's a real normal. And so we'll be hosting, and yeah, so you could get your supplies. We'll be putting together little kits here at Bobby Bead if you want to, or we have the supply list depending on. But the pearl cotton is something that's really special that goes along, and you make these really fun tassels. And Bobby B doesn't sell the pearl cotton, so that's why Hannah is sending us the rest of the supplies, and we'll make the cute little kits here. So
Right. Yeah, I meant to send them last week. I'll get those in the mail to you.
Okay, when is this class?
that's for our demo and due August, and that
Oh, all right.
I believe the 18th. Oh my gosh. Oh, here it is. I'm like, I know I have my folder here. We got so many fun classes. Hannah Rosner is on Thursday, the 19th. Sorry. Maggie Thompson is on the 18th. And we got Lisa Dooley on the 12th. We got Alexander Sidorenko on the 25th. We got Maggie Thompson again on what's 14th. We got Doris Coghill on the 10th. We got so much fun for August, so be sure to save some time for some fun classes.
And there'll be more information sent out about that.
Oh my gosh.
A special newsletter that's going out, and we'll also have it set up on the website in the next 10 days or so, by the middle of the month. So you can go on the website and find out all the information you need.
Yeah, and Lisa Dooley just dropped off her sample as well. She'll make her kits, but you'll be able to see the live sample here at Bobby Bead. And we also have Hannah Rosner's new Toho Challenge jacket, if you saw it in the post today. We have 18 of the Toho Challenge 2021 pieces on display here at the Bobby Bead Gallery. So if you want to see them in person, they're all here. Sandra Rother's pieces here as well.
Oh, nice.
Hers is hanging on the wall. I still have to figure out how to play it though, so maybe you can give me some instructions. And so hers is interactive as well.
It's so cool.
Oh my gosh, it's just amazing. So we got some really fun things at Bobby Bead. And then Doris Coghill took the challenge herself. So hers is on display here too. Anybody that wants to take the challenge and then let us show their piece, we'll put it in the mini kit display challenge as well, because we want to show off what you did. So bring it into Bobby Bead. We're open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays now. So 3 days a week for in-store shopping. Yeah.
So who do we have for this coming, for Saturday the 17th, Beading Basics?
For Saturday the 17th, Beading Basics, we have Doris Coghill, and she's teaching a wonderful necklace, cool variation. It's all on spiral herringbone mixture with Doris's fun flair, you know.
Stop the video.
And that all that detail is on the website too, just right on the home page.
And we just heard that, because I've been looking for more people for that Saturday, Hannah Rosner and I have come up with remember we've been doing our fringe series all about fringes. Well, we figured out we missed a few fringes. So Hannah and I are coming up with the rest of the fringes. We haven't taught you yet. So Hannah will work it out, and whatever she doesn't finish, I'll finish. So it's all about finishing our fringe fabulousness so that you can all be in fringy style, because that's, I guess, where the fashion is right now, or at least we think so. So
there you go. And that, of course, is free.
Free to everyone and anyone. So tell your friends. You don't have to be a member to join our Saturday Beading Basics Live. And if you have a better idea of what to name our Saturday Beading Basics Live events, I'm going to put out a thing on our group page so that we get some feedback, so that we just have to have the best branding possible. So if you have any great ideas for a better name, I'm willing to hear it, it's all about, right, something that'll be catchy and people remember.
We're looking for a little more jazz in the name.
Exactly. So we really are looking for your feedback on that one. So look for more information on the group page. And then we'll have August 2nd meeting is with Wendy Roy, and it's all about looming. Everything you wanted to know about looming, all those finishing techniques, all those tips and tricks. And so she's been teaching for the White Earth Tribal College for years and years and years. So she knows everything there is to know. Looming is her main thing, but she also does everything from ribbon dresses to all kinds of other Ojibwe beadwork and stuff. So that will be our August 2nd meeting. So look forward to that. Yep, we'll look for the emails all about our August demo and do classes. There's tons of them that are free, and then other ones are just a small minimal charge, and some of them will have a supply list or else a link so you can go directly to the designer and get the kit from Lisa or Maggie or Doris, and that way it's super easy. But if you want to teach, still get in touch with me, because there's still places, many spaces. So anybody that wants to teach, please get in touch with me. Other than that, I really thank you for joining us. And
thank you all. It's great to see everybody's smiling faces.
Thank you.
And thanks, Shawn. Thanks, Shawn.
You betcha.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Maggie.
She's still from here. How many people in Oregon say you betcha?
I know, right? I do. I say it.
Right on. Bye, guys.
Bye.